Hi everyone, welcome to DSDV class 17663. We will continue our module 5 design methodology. Okay, till now we have saw uh, design flow, hierarchical design flow we saw, and next we saw design optimization. In that we saw area optimization, timing optimization, and power optimization. And in the and also we saw we started with the design for test, okay, DFTs, in order to test the circuits, test the ICs, test the components, test the interconnections. Okay, in design for test, um, we saw few techniques. Okay, this is the lecture continuation of the design for test, lecture number 3. Okay, this is a sub lecture, lecture number 3C. Okay, in this lecture we'll be learning on about another DFT technique called built-in self-test. What is the requirement for this kind of technique, and why, how to perform this one? Okay, we saw in design for test that fault models and fault simulation. Next we saw scan design and boundary scan technique. Okay, we saw fault model and fault simulations used for combinational circuits, whereas scan design and boundary scan were used for register circuits. Okay, the main thing was of the both circuits were generating the test vectors and finding the fault in the circuits. Okay, that we saw, okay, in the previous. Now in this one, built-in self-test, we will continue. Okay, I welcome you all again for lecture number 3C, the built-in self-test. This is called BIST. Okay, the DFT approaches we have considered so far rely on what? We know that we need to generate input combinations. Okay, we need to generate the input combinations. The DFT approaches we have considered so far rely on developing test vectors during design of a system and applying the test vectors to the manufactured components. Why? To test them. Okay, we'll be generating the test vectors using some techniques, and we'll applying that to the circuits, to the manufactured ICs, to test them whether any fault in the circuits or whether they give correct output or not. Okay, while scan design and boundary scan techniques, okay, there we saw the complete controllability and complete observability. Okay, there was a in scan design and boundary scan technique, there was improvement in the testability of the components, but we also saw that we were um, somehow able to achieve the timing, but area was increasing. Okay, there is still significant time overhead in that, because in scan design technique, in scan chain technique, the in test vectors need to be shifted from register to registers. Okay, it was somewhat time taking time. Okay, which there is still significant time overhead in shifting test vectors in and results out of each component. And also we saw that the scan design technique was not operating at fully functional operating speed. Means the performance of the device was not the performance of the testing was not that much efficient, since test vectors for each cycle of system operation must be shifted in over many clock cycles, because it was the normal flip-flop will be converted into a modified flip-flop, which will function as a chain of registers called a shift registers. Then more number of clock cycles involved in shifting the test vectors, so it was time consuming, and it was not working at full operating speed. So okay, this was the problem. So in order to avoid this problem, we will use built-in self-test techniques. Okay, built-in self-test technique involves adding test circuits which generates the test patterns and also analyze the output responses. Okay, with BIST included in a system, the role of the ATE, automatic test equipment, is reduced. Okay, we saw in boundary scan that there was a automatic test equipment. Automatic test equipment was there. Okay, it was used in boundary scan method. In this, the function of that ATE, the role of ATE is reduced to just initiating the test operations, verifying successful completion if or failure of the circuit, and also storing any diagnostic information produced by the BIST circuits. Okay, whether it is a passed or fail. This will be stored, this diagnostic information will be stored by the ATE. The advantages of BIST is that it can generate test vectors at full system speed. What was the drawback in scan design? It was not working full operational speed, but BIST is working at a full operational speed. Okay, this working at a full operational speed means the meeting the frequency of the design. This reduces the time taken for to test. Okay, BIST hardware can also generate multi-cycle test sequences, making it possible to test for classes of defects that are difficult to expose with other techniques. And a further advantage of the BIST hardware, it is that the hardware of the BIST remains available during the operational lifetime of the system. Okay, and it can be used for testing when the system is in the field. Okay, it means the BIST circuit will be available throughout the complete operation of the system. Okay, and the next, the disadvantage of the BIST is it takes larger area. Okay, it achieved a timing. Okay, it achieved timing, it met timing, but it taking more area. Oh, okay, but there will be always trade-off. Okay, if area increases means cost also increases, but here the trade-off is achieved. Okay, here the compromise instead here the compromise will be there with the cost. Okay, you'll see the disadvantage. The disadvantage is the larger area occurs. Okay, the cost of this will be compensated with testing cost. Okay, the cost of the that IC, okay, may increase, but the testing cost is reduced. Okay, some miscellaneous information is there. Most of the systems, okay, most of the systems will be used as a general purpose systems. Okay, when the users, the normal users, okay, they will be not aware of any defect in the system until some service engineer reports that this is the system is getting fault and it needs to be repaired. Okay, this just for fun I will include this one. There are stories told to customers who are unaware of fault in a system until a service engineer arrived to repair the system. Okay, sometimes we complain that our computer is not working, our keyboard is not working. Okay, and we are not aware of this minute part. Then this is the sense. Okay, a system with BIST and reduced components capable of reporting faults to a service center or a network connection makes such stories plausible. Okay, the two paragraphs can saying that the one, the consumer is not aware till the customer is not aware till the service engineer reports that there is a fault. And the second one is use of the BIST. It is not, it is easy to rectify, it is easy to find out the fault. Okay, and there are two main aspects to consider when designing a BIST implementation. Okay, one, how to generate the test patterns, and how to analyze the output response to determine whether it is correct. Okay, first how to generate the test patterns and how to verify that it is the correct one. Okay, the main problem in BIST is, okay, to devise circuits for these aspects, for testing aspects that are not excessively large and that do not adversely affect normal system performance. Okay, we will be using in order to generate the test. Okay, in BIST we will be using a few types of circuits. One among them is to test the test vectors. We will be using one type of test generator, that is called pseudo random test pattern generator. Okay, we will be next, the topic is how to generate the test vector. Okay, that the most common means of generating test patterns is a pseudo random test pattern generator. Okay, in this pseudo random, it is not like the random sequence generator. Okay, there in programming construct there is a random sequence generator. When we use that function in the program, that will generate random numbers. Okay, that will give the random numbers at any instance of time. But the pseudo random is not like that. It can repeat the sequence. Okay, random is any arbitrary number. Okay, and the pseudo random, it will generate the sequences which can be repeated also. Okay, usually the pseudo random sequence generates the sequence from initialization. Okay, that initialization is called seed. Okay, unlike true random sequences, pseudo random sequences can be repeated from a given starting point called the seed. In random generator, okay, it will generate the number, but in pseudo random we can start the sequence, by initialization. Okay, that initialization is called as seed. That it is also called starting point. Okay, nonetheless they have similar statistical properties to true random sequence. Both the random sequence somewhat similarity will be there between the random sequence and pseudo random sequence. Pseudo random sequences can be readily generated with a simple hardware structure called linear feedback shift register. We know that shift register is nothing but a combination of registers where the data will be shifted in and shifted out. Okay, feedback means there will be feedback to the input from any one of the any one of the output of the register. Okay, linear means the shifting of data will be in a linear fashion. Okay, we will take an example of 4-bit LFSR. Okay, the linear feedback shift register is called LFSR. Okay, I repeat again, in BIST we need to generate the test pattern, so we'll be using pseudo random test pattern generator. The test pattern generator is constructed using a linear feedback shift register. Okay, the test pattern generator means the pseudo random sequences is generated. Okay, pardon me, the pseudo random sequences is generated with the help of a hardware structure called linear feedback shift register. We'll try to construct linear feedback shift register for a 4-bit. Okay, consider a figure of a 4-bit LFSR. LFSR means linear feedback shift register for generating pseudo random test vectors. Consider a flip-flop, D flip-flop with a D input, clock input and Q output. Also there is another preset input. Okay, preset means set the flip-flop output value to 1 earlier. Set means set, preset means set earlier. Okay, set the output of the flip-flop to 1 before starting of the flip-flop working. Okay, so we set 4-bit LFSR. Okay, so we require 4 flip-flops. All the flip-flops will work in a synchronous, means clock is common, and also all the flip-flops will also have the common preset. So preset we are setting some initialization value, because this is a generator. LFSR is a pseudo random sequence generator. Okay, so the pseudo random sequence starts by having a initialization value called seed. We will be giving the seed of some particular initialization, and that seed will be passing through the registers, shifted through the registers one by one through some logic mechanism, and the last shift register output is feedback as input to the first register. Okay, like this we are generating the pseudo random sequences. We'll see how the pseudo random sequences are generated using this LFSR. First we have flip-flop. Okay, and then we will pass the output of the flip-flop to the next flip-flop. Okay, to the next flip-flop. Before that we will take one logical component help, so that we can generate the sequence. Okay, we'll see what logic component we can use, and the outputs are parallel. Okay, the output is parallel. Q1 is the output of the first LFSR. Then we will take the second register and we'll give the output of the first shift register, first flip-flop to the second flip-flop, but not directly, but we'll use XOR gate. Okay, we'll use XOR gate output as the input to the second flip-flop. Why? Because a logic behind is there to generate pseudo random sequences. One input of the for XOR, the first flip-flop output is one of the input, and the second input is feedback from the last flip-flop. Okay, the second flip-flop will be getting the XOR output. Okay, next again we will take 2 more flip-flops, because we are constructing 4-bit LFSR. So 4 flip-flops are there. Now these 4 flip-flops are there, and all the outputs are parallel. Okay, and each of the output of the flip-flop is given as input to the next flip-flop, except for the second flip-flop. For the second flip-flop, the input is output of the XOR gate. Okay, where one of the input of the XOR gate is the first flip-flop output, and other input is the feedback from the last flip-flop. And for the rest of the flip-flop, third flip-flop input is second flip-flop output, and fourth flip-flop input is third flip-flop output. Okay, next what we said, we said synchronous LFSR means clocks are common. We'll try to construct the common clock. Okay, we are giving common clock connections. You can see common clock connections are there. Now we got 4 flip-flops. For all the flip-flops are working in synchronous means common clock, and all the flip-flops outputs are in parallel, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay, next what is that? We need to, we said common preset. Okay, we need to have common preset. Next we need to give feedback, because we are constructing feedback shift register, linear feedback shift register. So the last output of the the last flip flop output is given as input to the first flip flop, and also one input to the XOR gate. Okay, we'll give feedback. This is the feedback way. We are giving feedback to the input and also the XOR gate. This is how we construct linear feedback shift register. Okay, how this will generate the sequence we will also see. Okay, for example, we'll give the seed means we'll give the starting point as 1 1 1. Okay, all the q1 equals 1, q2 equals 1, q3 equals 1, q4 equals 1. That is our starting point. We'll give. Okay, before the starting of this circuit, we are giving 1 1 1 1 4 ones. Okay, and we'll apply the clock at regular intervals. Then according to the clock pulse, okay, the value will change. So we'll be getting we'll be getting pseudo random sequences at q1, q2, q3, q4. We are given 1 1 1 1. We'll see what will be the sequence. Okay, what combinations will be generated. 4 combinations means we are supposed to get 16 combinations. Means 4-bit means we are supposed to get 16 combinations. We shall see, are we going to get the 16 combinations or less or more cannot be there. It can be 16 or less. Okay, this is the pseudo random sequence generated. Okay, we starting is 1 1 1 1, next 1 0 1 1, 1 0 1 1, next 1 0 0 1. The arrow point is saying starting from 1 1 1 1. The arrow mark indicates the shifting of the shift values from registers to registers, and also those are considered the random sequences. How these random sequences are generated, we'll try to construct by generating few sequences. Okay, take your pen and paper and write 1 1 1 1 for q1, q2, q3, q4, and shift the data for q2 output. Okay, for q2 output, the input q2 value is, okay, q1 value is q4, q2 equals q1 XOR q4, q3 is q2, q4 is q3. Okay, we will see. Okay, because of preset, and the seed is initial value is 1 1 1 1. q1 equals 1, q2 equals 1. At initial stage, q1 equals 1, q2 equals 1, q3 equals 1, q4 equals 1. We will take few cycles, few clock cycles, how the random sequence are generated. Okay, at first clock cycle, okay, q1 equals first clock cycle. When we apply the clock, the shift registers will work. Okay, the q1 will be getting the first flip flop will be getting input as q4. Okay, you can see the arrow mark. q4 is giving as input to the d. So the q1 follows d, right? So q1 equals q4 value is 1, q4 is also 1, q1 is also 1. Next the first flip flop output is and for last flip flop output XORed and given as input to the second flip flop. So output will be 1 XOR 1, that is 0, right? And the third flip flop is input is q2. Okay, so q3 will be q2 value. So q2 is 1, q3 is also 1. Next q4 is next fourth flip flop input is q3. So q3 value will be the same as q4. So q4 equals 1, q3 equals 1, q4 equals 1. I repeat, q1 value is getting from q4 because of feedback, and q2 is nothing but the second flip flop input, where second flip flop input d2 equals q1 XOR q4. 1 XOR 1 is 0, so q2 is 0. And q3 is third flip flop input, d3 equals q3, right? Sorry, q2. So q2 value is 1, so q3 is also 1. q4 value, q4 equals d4. d4 is equal to q3 value. Okay, so q3 equals 1, q4 is also 1. And we'll take second clock cycle. Okay, in second clock cycle, okay, q1, okay, q1 is equal to q4 value. q4 is 1, q1 is also 1. Next, so for second flip flop, what? Q1 XOR Q4. What is Q1 and Q4? 1 and 1. 1 XOR 1, Q4 is 1, Q1 is 1. 1 XOR 1 is 0. So Q2 will also be 0. Then Q3 equals Q2 value. So Q2, previous Q2 in first clock cycle, Q2 is 0. So Q3 of second clock cycle is 0. Okay. Then uh, Q4 is equal to Q3. Q3 of the first clock cycle. Q3 of first clock cycle is 1. Q4 is also 1. Please observe the arrow mark also. Okay. The arrow mark indicates, okay, the shifting of value. Okay. We will take one more clock cycle to understand clearly. Okay. At third clock cycle, what will be the value of Q1? Is nothing but Q4 value. Q4 equals 1, Q1 equals 1. Q2 is equal to what? Q1 XOR Q4. What is Q4? 1. What is Q1? 1. 1 XOR 1 is 0. Okay, Q2 is 0. Next, Q3 is nothing but Q2 value. Second previous clock cycle, Q2 value. Previous clock cycle Q2 was 0. Now Q3 is 0. Similarly, Q4 values previous clock cycle Q3 value. In second clock cycle Q3 is 0. So now Q4 is 0. This is how the pseudo random sequence are generated. Okay, if you go on like this till the 15th clock cycle, okay, we will be getting 15 combinations, not 16 combinations, because we are not going to get 0 0 0 combination in this one. Okay, so we will see again how to construct this. Okay, first what we are given, seed as 1 1 1 1. Okay, 1 1 1 1 1, and passing to the shift register it becomes 1 0 1 1. Then next new input is 1 0 1 1. Okay, next clock cycle it becomes 1 0 0 1. In the next clock cycle it becomes 1 0 0 0. You can see from the above working style, the same value we are getting. Further, if we continue, the next value will be getting 0 1 0 0, and again apply to the shift. When again clock apply to the shift register LFSR, it will give 0 0 1 0. If we go on applying the clock cycle, we will be getting the cycle like this. Okay, you can see after 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0, we will be getting 0 0 1 0 0. Next 0 0 0 1, next clock cycle 1 1 1 0 0 1 1 0 0. In the next clock cycle it will be 0 1 1 0. The here first here the left bit is MSB and the right bit is LSB. Okay, you can see this is MSB, this is LSB. Q2 equals Q1 XOR Q4. Okay, like this you need to construct the you can construct like this. We are getting the pseudo random sequence. Okay, don't worry how to write this pseudo random sequence. Just observe the equations here. Okay, observe the arrow mark. Q4 is going to Q1 in the next clock cycle, and Q2 is Q1 XOR Q4. Q3 is Q2 of the previous cycle. Q4 is Q3 of the previous cycle. Okay, like this the pseudo random sequence are generated, but LFSR not gives complete 16 combinations, it gives only 15 combinations except 0 0 0 0. Okay, the working of LFSR is the sequence is initiated with the seed value as 1 1 1 1. Then on successive clock cycles the LFSR generates the pseudo random sequences. Okay, the sequence contains all possible 4-bit values except 0 0 0 0. In most applications it is desirable to include that value also. When some applications requires the test vector as 0 0 0, we need to generate that one also. In order to generate that one, we need to modify the LFSR slightly in a different manner, so that we will get all the 16 combinations. When that LFSR is modified and giving the combination 0 0 0 and including that one, the count of test vectors will become 16 combinations. So that modified LFSR is called as complete feedback shift register, where complete feedback shift register CFSR will generate all the 16 combinations pseudo randomly. Okay, Similar, that is shown in figures 10.18. I will show. Similar circuits can be designed to generate pseudo-random test vectors of other lengths. Okay, here we generated 4-bit. For 3-bit also we can construct 5-bit, 6-bit, 8-bit. Any length, any bit, pseudo-random sequences can be generated. Okay, with different modification of the circuits. Okay, placement of the XOR gates within the LFSR is determined by the, okay, it's not randomly placed, it is determined some with some mathematical theory. Okay, that mathematical theory is called characteristic polynomial of the LFSR. Okay, the XOR is not placed randomly, it is based on the mathematical theory called characteristic polynomial, okay, of the feedback shift register. Okay, and then what we said, we were generating 16-bit combinations by modifying the LFSR. Okay, so that we'll be having 0 0 0 to 1 1 1 1, but not in a sequential, but is in a random order, that pseudo random order. The sequences are not linear, not sequential. The sequences are the combinations are pseudo random sequences. Okay, don't write the sequences are from 0 to 1, 0 1 2 3 4 like that. The sequence are pseudo random. Okay, we modified the LFSR. Okay, this is a complete 4-bit complete feedback shift register. CFSR stands for complete feedback shift register. Okay, which generates pseudo random test vectors. Test vectors nothing but input combination values. Okay, since it is using for testing, so it is called test vectors. This is the same as LFSR, but slight modification. The modification is that we will take the output of Q1, Q2, Q3 as inverted inputs to the AND gate. We'll consider the combination of Q1 output, Q2 output and Q3 output, and we will take the invert of those one and will give to the inputs of the AND gate. Okay. Okay, what we are saying, we will consider the combination of Q1, Q2 and Q3 will give their inverted version, means prime version, as input to the AND gate. Okay, we'll take an inverted input AND gate where all three inverted input AND gate, all the three inverted inputs are Q1, Q3, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the output of that AND gate is given as input to what? Next circuit. That circuit is what circuit? We shall see what circuit we are using. So okay, to generate another sequence 0 0 0, that circuit is XOR gate. Again we are using XOR gate. Okay, why we are using XOR gate, that will also will tell. Okay, we are giving the output of the AND gate, inverted input AND gate, 3 inverted input AND gates to the output as input to the XOR gate, and that XOR gate another input is Q4. Okay, Q4 output. The output of this Q4 and this inverted 3 inverted input AND gate is fed back to the first register, first flip-flop. So we can generate 0 0 0 0. Okay, why we are using XOR gate? Because you can see the XOR gate will give the values based on the uniform distribution. You can see the AND gate, the OR gate, an AND gate, NOR gate, all these gates are one-sided. Okay, for there will be maximum 1 or maximum zeros, means when you consider AND gate 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 1 1, in this, okay, there are 3 zeros and 1. Similarly for OR gate also, except for 0 0, all the outputs are 1. Okay, in the NAND gate also there will be majority of ones or majority of zeros. In NOR gate also majority of 1 or majority of zeros. What I'm trying to say is, why you are using XOR gate? Because in AND gate, OR gate, NAND gate, NOR gate, there will be majority of ones and majority of zeros in the output. But here in XOR, there is an equal distribution of the ones and zeros, right? We can check for 0 0 XOR gate 0 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1 0. There is an equal distribution of zeros and 1. So this can be used in generating a pseudo-random sequences with accordance with the register with connecting to in a logical way with the registers. Okay, that is how we were constructing CFSR. Okay. And we have 16 combinations. You can check there are 16 combinations in a pseudo random way. Okay, you can see 0 0 is also there, 0 0. Earlier you can see there was no 0 0. You can see there is no 0 0 here, no 4 zeros, only 15 combinations. You can check. Analyzing the output response of a circuit to the test patterns presents more of a problem. We'll see why. In most cases, it would be infeasible to store the correct output response for comparison with the circuit's output response, since the storage required could well be larger than the circuit under test. What is it saying? The the response is a problem. It's saying the test patterns presents more of a problem. Why? Because it needs more amount of storage. What storage? The output. Whatever the test vector output we are getting, whatever the test vector applied, and whatever the output we are getting for the each combination, each test vector, that requires some storage area. That will be more. Okay, instead we need to devise a way of comparing the expected output response and the circuit's output response. Doing so requires less storage and comparison hardware, though at the cost of circuitry to compact the circuit's outputs. What it is saying, the test patterns presents more of a problem. Why? It requires more storage. How to rectify that one? By devising a way of compacting the expected output response. Means what we do the expected output, how we write a boolean expression. Okay, how we write a boolean expression? By considering either in the output column, by considering either only the logic ones or logic 0, right? How we write the expression for a truth from a truth table. Okay, in a truth table output there will be a group of ones and group of zeros based on the sum or pass, means sum of products or product of sum. We'll consider either a group of logic ones or group of logic zeros. And when we consider a group of logic ones, we'll write that combination variable values, right? Similarly, here we will consider only the either the group of logic ones or group of logic 0. I repeat again, in an AND gate, how we write the AND gate expression? 0 0 output is 0, 0 1 output is 1, 1 0 output is 1, 1 1 output is 1. Then how to write the expression? Consider in the output column whichever the outputs are 1, write that variable value. Okay, for 0 1 output, pardon me, that is OR gate. Okay, I repeat again, how to write the AND gate output. AND gate to table is for 0 0 output is 0, for 0 1 output is 0, for 1 0 output is 0, for 1 1 output is 1. We consider only the 1 value in the output. So so the output equals 1 1 A B. If you take A and B as input, A B. Okay, output equals A and B. If you take OR gate, okay, if you take OR gate, input as AB and output as F. So 0 0 0, 0 1 1, 1 0 1, 1 1 1. Then we write expression. So wherever the outputs are 1, we write that value. Okay, F is equal to A prime B or A B prime or AB, right? Let this be the output, this will be the variables. Okay, then for 0 0 output is 0 for OR gate, 1 0 output is 1, 1 1 output is 1, 0 1 output is 1. So we'll take only these combinations. Okay, okay, okay. Then what will the expressions will be having? A prime B ORed with B prime A ORed with AB. How we are writing? Based on considering only logic 1 values from the output column, right? Similarly, we will consider the same logic here. Okay, we'll consider, we'll devise a way of compacting the expected output response and the circuit output response. Okay, this has some name. Okay, doing so requires less storage and comparison hardware also, though at the cost of circuitry to compact the circuit's outputs. Okay, there are several schemes for output response compaction, but the most commonly used is signature analysis. Okay, this method is called signature analysis. What is signature analysis? So, signature analysis is a technique which is closely related to use of LFSRs for test pattern generation, and the same mathematical theory underlies operation of both. A signature register, a signature register forms a summary called a signature of sequence of output response. Means we will consider either the only combinations of ones, a group of ones in the output column, or group of zeros in the output column, and we'll verify. Okay, when we know that for this combination the output should be 1. Okay, for example, let's take for 1 0, the output should be 1. Okay, for R gate. Okay, and for 0 1 output should be 1, 1 1 output should be 1. This is the R gate. Okay, but what in fault circuit for R gate, okay, for 0 1 it is giving 0, and 1 0 it is giving 0, and 1 1 it is giving 0. This is R gate, but we are getting zeros for all the combinations. Then we can say, then for 0 it is giving 0. Okay, we are checking R gate, consider we are checking R gate, but it is giving 0 for all the combinations. Then according to signature analysis, we will consider only these 3 combinations. Will not check for 0 0 because it will 0 0. Okay, for these 3 combinations the outputs was supposed to be 1, but they are giving 0 0 0. Okay, this outputs, which are wrong outputs, will be recorded, will be stored in a signature registers. Okay, how the signature registers work. Okay, we will consider, again take R gate. Okay, 0 1 1 1. Okay, the signature registers will consider only for the signature analysis performs only for these combinations. Okay, only for these combinations. Okay, if any output is wrong, if any of the output is wrong, like this is 0, then it will identify this, for this combinations we are getting fault output. Okay, fault is there. Okay, like this it records the combinations of ones or zeros. It will checks only for this. Okay, by this we can save some amount of storage, some amount of memory. Okay, this is general idea of signature analysis. It need to be the same way. This is general idea about the signature analysis. Okay, and the two sequences that differ slightly are likely to have different signatures. Okay, signature is nothing but, what is a signature? Okay, when you go to a bank and present a check, what will the bank cashier will do? He will verify the signature. How? Previously they while creating a bank account, okay, while creating a bank account, they will be taking out data, they will be taking out signature also. In the system there will be some our signature will be there, our sample signature will be there while issuing, while carrying out the check. Okay, while handling the check, the cashier will try to cross verify the signature, one on the check and other than the system. Okay, means some data will be there, some pre-stored. Similarly, we'll be considering, we'll be knowing already, the system will be knowing for this combination the output should be 1. Okay, for this combination the output should be, we'll take again R gate also, 0 1 1. This is the signature, this is the signature. Okay, this is in our system. Okay, when a person comes and presents a check, presents check, the answer should be same, 0 1 1. But if these two will be compared. Okay, this is the signature, this is the comparing, this is the one comparing. Okay, this is how signature analysis do. If anything is mismatching, okay, it will take our combinations are mismatching. The combinations are mismatching. This is an example. We can general way you can think about like this. Okay, signature means the comparison of a already existing signature with the presenting bank check. Okay, in signature analysis we'll be having some already some combination the expected output that will be compared with the obtaining output from the shift register. Okay, one of the one of the circuit which performs signature analysis is multiple input signature register, MISR. We'll take a 4-bit example. Okay, we'll take a 4-bit multiple input signature register. Okay, that is shown in figure 419. Okay, we'll apply we will try to perform signature analysis. Okay, this is a circuit of a 4-bit multiple input signature registers. Okay, for a circuit under test. Okay, you can observe there are 4 flip-flops and the 4 outputs are there, and all the clock are common, means that they are working in synchronous. This is a shift register. Okay, and you can observe there is a clear, there is no preset. Okay, there is a clear. Preset is used in linear feedback shift register, but this is a different technique. This technique is for signature analysis. Okay, in this each of the input is obtaining from the output of the XOR gate. You can see each of the input is obtaining from the output of the XOR gate. Okay, each of the input is obtaining from the output of the XOR gate. How we are getting? One input will be the parallel input. You can see each of the XOR gate, each of the flip-flop will be getting one direct input, one direct input, one direct input, one direct input, one direct input. This input will be compared. This input will be compared. Okay, this will be compared with the signature. Okay, this is the construction, and this is the circuit of a multiple input shift register. Multiple input. Okay, multiple input signature register. Sorry, not shift register. This is multiple input signature register. Signature. Okay, not shift. This is signature register. Multiple input signature register. Okay, where there will be parallel inputs and the input for each flip-flop is obtained from the output of the XOR gate. Okay, where other input of the XOR gate will be the previous flip-flop input. Okay, each of the flip-flop input is XOR gate output, where the XOR gate input is one parallel direct input and other is previous flip-flop output. Okay, using the using LFSRs for generating the test patterns and signature register for analyzing the responses okay, in BIST requires some logic to perform some logic simulation of the circuit without faults. Okay, since the sequence generated by the LFSR is determined by the seed, means some initial value, we can perform the simulation with that sequence of the input values, means we can repeat that sequences. If we have doubt and if we have missed anything, we can repeat the test sequence again. Okay, that is not a random, this is pseudo random. Okay, we use the output values from the simulation to compute the expected signature and save the signature for use during test. We'll summarize the BIST working. When BIST, since we got LFSR and signature. Okay, LFSR for pseudo random sequence generation. Okay, and signature for another way to verify the outputs. Okay, one was generating the in BIST. LFSR used to generate the pseudo random sequences. Signature analysis, MISR used to verify the outputs. Okay, when BIST working, when BIST of a circuit is initiated, BIST means built-in self-test, either by a ATE, automatic test equipment, during manufacturing test, or by an in-system test controller during system operation. How it works? Okay, the LFSR generate test patterns and the MSR computes the signatures of the actual circuit outputs. Okay, the working I am saying, LFSR generates the test patterns and MISR computes the signature of the actual circuit's outputs. The ATE or test controller then shifts the computed signature out of the MISR and compares it with the expected signature. What we are saying in the earlier, we took an example of OR gate, AND gate and all. What we are doing, we are trying to analyze we are trying to match the combinations. We took an example of a bank account signature and a check. Okay, there the check will be the signature on the already existing in the system, and the signature on the check will be matched. Similarly here also. Okay, first LFSR generate test pattern, MSR computes the signatures. okay, and ATE, okay, will shift the computer signature out of the MISR, and it compares with the whatever the value from the MISR gets, it will compare with the expected signatures. Okay, if they are the same, if the outputs from the MSI register and the expected signatures are same, there is no fault. If they differ, there is a fault. Okay, if they are same, no fault is detected. Okay, though there is a chance that an actual fault remains undetected, there are some chances even some fault may go undetected. If they differ, there is definitely a fault. If the MSIR output and the expected signature are differing, means if any one bit is differing, then uh, then there is a fault. Okay, if MSIR output is 1001, okay, and expected signature is 1010, then this bit and this bit are mismatching, then there is a fault. Okay, um, then in this one of the last technique of the DFT, we saw the basic concepts of that we saw that how to we saw that LFSR is used to generate the test pattern, test vectors, and MSR used to compute the um, result analysis. Result means response analysis. Okay, in practice, BIST and design for test techniques have been developed to much greater sophistication. There is a whole segment of the electronics design industry devoted to test. There is a separate area, okay, separate area in the VLSI field that is dedicated for testing field only. Okay, the engineers working are called testing engineers, DFT engineers. Okay, they are called design for test, DFT engineers, with vendors offering a range of software and test equipment. Design for test techniques sit at the interface between the design community and the test community. There means the DFT engineers will be always in touch with the design engineers. Okay, in any significant electronics design project, it is essential that design engineers and test engineers will communicate throughout the complete design process, till starting from the plan of the design and ending of the synthesis. Okay, the test and physical design also. Okay, the DFT engineers, the other design engineers, it may be functional design engineers, physical design engineers, okay, those all the engineers will communicate to get a proper design without faults. Okay, okay, it is essential that design engineers and test engineers communicate throughout the design process to ensure that the system will be testable during manufacture, okay, and if required during operation once deployed. The last paragraph is saying that it should work in a team. The engineer should work as a team, so that we can reduce the defects in IC. We can reduce the functional defects in the ICs, not manufacturing defects. We cannot avoid, as a design engineers, we can test engineers, we cannot avoid manufacturing defects, but we can avoid functional failures. Okay, so there should be proper communication. What did this means? You may become a DFT engineer, okay, or you may become a functional design engineer, or you may become a verification engineer. The main theme is you should have proper communication skill. Not you should not only have, okay, in order to exist in a VLSI field, okay, you should not only have some logical skill, digital logic skills, the hardware description languaging skills. Okay, you should not only they expect also communication skills, interaction skills, interpersonal skills. Other than the theory, other than the practical of the subject, they also expect these human value skills. Okay, try to be generous and try to be a teamwork person. Okay, this completes our design for test topic. This is one of the topic in module 5. Okay, we are in module 5 design methodology. This is one of the topic design for test. In this we saw in separate in 3 techniques are there: fault models and fault simulation, next scan design and boundary scan, and last we saw BIST, built-in self-test. These are the 3 DFT techniques we saw in 3 different lectures. Okay, this concludes design for test lecture. Okay, thank you all.